everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Florian Gallier from Mo-Sys. Mo-Sys is just across the road, by the way. We're just here. So we not only close in location with Sugar Studios, but also close in what we do together. And Sugar is all about creating content within this beautiful studio. And we're all about creating technologies and workflows for such studios. It's good to be here, especially the fact that we are facing new ways of producing. It's interesting to see how different industry can combine together to produce content, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the technology and workflows that we develop at Mo-Sys to be used in studios with our partner studios, such as Sugar Studio, for example. So I think I only have 30 minutes, so I'll go for it quite quickly. But first, I want to show a production that we co-produced between Mo-Sys, and also a lot of the shots on the green screen were shot here, actually, at Sugar Studio. So I thought it would be a great example to use for that, because it can give you an idea of how to use it within this space as well. So this is a production called The Contractor, and it's about, it's really funny concept, actually. It's merging, let's say, The Wolf of Wall Street and The Office. But of course, when you have the budget of comedy, you don't necessarily have budgets to film in Wall Street, right? In real time. So that's when virtual production is really interesting. Now, I don't know if, how many of you know about virtual production, which is typically blending the real world and the virtual world together, like you will do in post-production, but in real time. And that's what we are specializing at Mo-Sys doing. But there have been ways of doing it. There have been green screen for a long time, and still green screen is used a lot. And more LED wall. You might have heard of LED volumes even. And we will see that they're not competing at all. In fact, I mean, I shouldn't say that because that's spoiling the whole presentation, but in fact, they are complementing each other, and we will see why and how we can leverage it to produce. So very quickly, for those who don't know what virtual production is, as I said, it's combining the real world and the virtual world together. And to do so, that's an example here where we have an LED wall. So typically, that's not a massive LED volume. That's what we call LED wall, and that could be here in this studio. And on the room, on the other side, you have a green screen, and we will talk about the advantages of green screen as well and how you could combine the two together. But just to explain quickly, this virtual scene behind the actor is seen through the camera in real time. Now, when you move your camera, you want your 3D background to move as well. Otherwise, you will do that before in post-production, but we want to do it real time. So that's thanks to a technology that we call camera tracking. As you can see here, it's sitting on the top of the camera, these little sensors, and it sees stickers on the ceiling that we call, and actually if you go to the green screen later on, you can see the stickers on the ceiling and see what it looks like. It's really easy to map. You put these stickers on your ceiling and you create what we call a map. With this map, you know exactly where the camera is in the space. And thanks to that, I can film within any environment in real time. There's more than this, of course, but happy to talk about it later on. But then let's see how it works with different technology. So again, we mentioned LED wall, green screen. Let's deep dive into it and see what are the pros and cons of each technology. Well, green screen, as the one you see here, is great because the advantage of filming with digital environment is that we can be really quick to switch from one scene to another. If we take the example of this production, in the morning we were filming in a restaurant, in the afternoon we were filming in a trading floor. Apart if you're Martin Scorsese, and even you cannot film in a trading floor. So it was all done in green screen, and here you have a really wide shot, and you see the floor, and you can change very quickly, because when you use LED wall, you need to also build that floor, and then it takes time, and then you lose this digital advantage. So green screen is ideal for that. Also great for shadows. When you have the shadow reflecting on the floor, it will also reflect on the digital scene because it's on the green, so it will be seen. What is complex, though, with green screen is everything that is close up and mid shot. You might have seen if someone has, like, let's say, blonde, thin hair, it's a bit of weird to key that at, which we call that keying out with the green. So it looks a bit unrealistic. There are some people who are really good at doing that, but just a few, and it's really an expert job, I would say. So LED wall then is great for that. Let's see how. LED wall is perfect for everything that's close up to mid shots because you will have the reflection on the talents, which is really nice, and you can have some nice lighting in the foreground as well. And again, as I said, like for everything that we call green spill, which is a reflection of the green screen on the face, which is not really nice in camera, it can be done with LED wall as well. So combining these two is great. Now we're gonna go through a few scenes that use this technology. And I'm gonna check the time as well. But just to kind of recap, it's actually interesting to use both these technologies, what they are the best at. Green screen is the best at everything that is wide, establishing shots, wide shots, when you have the illusions that you have in a massive space. So using a big studio such as Sugar Studio really makes sense to use green screen in real time because we can do this really wide, massive shot. So that's how we're collaborating as well on this project, especially for the trading floor and for everything that was big rooms. LED wall, very interesting to use them as a smaller LED wall just for the close-up and mid-shot and combining it with the green. By the way, all these 3D environments are running in Unreal, in the game engine Unreal. And with our technology, we blend these two workflows. So with the same camera and the same lens, you could film on your green and then move it within the same 3D world to the LED world seamlessly. So to recap, very simply, why not use a green screen for wide shots and the LED wall for close-up and mid-shot in tandem, all within the same 3D environment? Some examples here. That's typically an LED wall shot because you have reflection, let's say, on the glass, for example. It's at nighttime, reflection on his watch, on his glasses. That will be tricky to do, at least in real time, on a green screen. That's another great example of having the reflection going through the rescue bottle. This is also a tricky shot with green screen because the foreground is blurred, and that's really difficult to achieve in real time with green screen. It wouldn't work that well. So that's another great example of the use of this technology. Now that's a previous shot of what was shot here, actually. That's gonna look even more realistic, of course, when we re-render it, but the director can see that in real time through the camera when we are filming on a green screen. And as I said, like here, you see the floor. So imagine rebuilding that floor in front of an LED wall. It will take a lot of time, a lot of effort. And what's the point if we have to rebuild a set, really? So that was ideal to film that here on the green screen. And by the way, everything is virtual here, including the table, and will be re-rendered automatically overnight. So we shot that on a Monday. On a Tuesday, it all goes in the cloud and being re-rendered. And on Tuesday morning, you see it in high resolution. That's just a previous shot. So that's what you see in real time. Well, that's another example of it, again, filmed on the green screen, because doing this floor, this window will take a lot of time physically to do. And again, it's going against the advantage of filming within this digital world. So we combine both. Let me talk a bit about the workflow here, and then we move to another technology. What's interesting here, as I said, is that we were really quick and efficient. We had the LED wall next to the green screen, and we combined both in real time. But something that's, and I'm not going to go too much in detail technically, but happy to talk about it with you after. But something that's crucial for blending the real world and the virtual world is also the lens distortion, because every lens is made of glass, of course, and every lens distorts the world. So if you see a movie or anything that's filmed with a lens, if you look at the edge, you will see a distortion on the side, which is used creatively or not. But because we have a digital background, we also need to distort it as much as the lens is distorting the real world. So it takes a bit of time to do this calibration. But in that case, we used the lens, which was what we call a Premista zoom lens, actually, which means that we just had to do the calibration once, and then with the same lens, you can zoom between the range, which means you can be really wide on the wide shot and then tighter on the close-up and mid shot. So that was a really neat workflow because you don't have to redo it every time. Then we used two camera package, both with this tracking technology that's called Star Tracker, which is what we develop at Mo-Sys. And then it was talking to the game engine, Unreal, in which we have our plugin, which kind of blend the world together. So everything you see in 3D is thanks to this software we develop within Unreal. And Unreal is great because you can be a 3D artist working on a game engine, working on a game, for example, or working on a 3D experience. And then it means we can reuse these assets for a film as well. So it's really connecting the world, connecting the production. That's why we decided to also be native Unreal and not make a wrap around it. We really want to be native. And I think that will echo with other talks later on about the interconnectivity between different production. And finally, and then I'm just gonna happy to talk in more details later on, but we had two sets of lights again, and this is light that is great for skin tone and realism. So we can have different skin tones and they will be lights perfectly because this is a light with an 8 LED spectrum, which is really interesting. And if you're interested about it, we could talk about it after. But that was really interesting because people tend to think that you want the light from the LED wall, while the lights we use, like the front light, is much more important. So the light from the LED wall is more for creating a background, while the lights we use on the front to light the scene is used to light the skin. And that's what was not the case in the first generation of virtual production. So happy to talk about that because that's also really important. We can talk about it after. Anyway, let's talk about the achievements very quickly, and then we'll move on to other technology. I think we're in time, so we're good. So the achievements, it was done in 2 months of pre-production. Pre-production is what's gonna change your virtual production. If you want it to succeed, it has to be a lot prepared in pre-production. But if you think about it, everything you will do in post-production is now shifted to pre-production. So you create your asset, you create your shot, you block your shot, but all of that won't have to be done in post. So it's really changing the workflow, and it means that more post-production can become pre-house production. There was also time to experiment at very low cost. There was just the 3D artist, Gabriel, who is here, I think, today, and the director talking outside of work hours, saying, I want to add this in the scene, I want to remove that. And then doing some tests, because it's about iteration, make it look right before having the crew on set. That's the only way to make virtual production work, and it's not changing on the day. But in terms of achievements, because we did so much pre-production, and I think these are really strong numbers, we filmed a 55-minute pilot episode in 2 weeks, and there was more than 492 shots, and actually a crew of not 11, but 9 people. And it's a crew that never used virtual production before. We only trained them on that in a week and a half. So I think it's quite an achievement. And we were able to do that in 7 different locations, including a trading floor, Wall Street, and a big office space. All, of course, from here and here. Gaussian splatting, to explain it very quickly, and that's also very fresh and new because I think the first paper on that are less than 2 years old. It's a way to capture the world very quickly, very fast, with actually even a phone. You don't need any special camera, you just use your phone. It's actually the best way to do it. And from that, we create a 3D model of the world that then can be used in Unreal. So let's have a look at some tests we did with it and how great it is. So that's my colleague, Pedro, and he's capturing an environment right now. He's doing it with a GoPro, but it could be done, as I said, with the phone. In fact, it's even better because it's there's no distortion on the lens, etc. So that's the process of capturing. You see, it's really quick. It's less than, for the whole environment, less than 5 minutes. And then that's something we were filming there. When in fact we were not filming it there, we were filming it in the green screen here. So in Greenwich. So that's all done in real time, and thanks to the tracking, again, we can move the camera and film in real time. Bear in mind that this was our first experiment. It's getting much and much better now, and I'm going to show you that as well. So that's great, because one of the issues of virtual production was also the complexity of creating the 3D assets, which is still, you still need some very talented, I would say, 3D artists to create a set from scratch, and they do it very well, and it's great. But if you don't have access to that, it's also a way to generate backgrounds very quickly as well, and it makes it much more accessible to more people. And also, it's great if you film in locations that you don't really have access to, either because they're expensive to film within, or because you just don't have access to it. Here is another example. So then that's the next step. We did it. We captured it, as you can see now with a phone. That's the Woolwich Town Hall. So it's a beautiful place, but we could only access it between 6 a.m. and 6:30. So really tight schedule. We came here with phones and GoPros and we captured it. It's a beautiful place, and it would be great to film a movie in there. But again, it's all done to time and budget. So capturing it, and then we were able to do some tests actually upstairs in Mo-Sys. That's our more of a lab. We don't do production here like Sugar Studio does, but it's more what we call our lab, and that's where we test things. So that's the scene now in the 3D space and in Unreal. That's me, Speechware. And now so that was this video I showed you was experiments, pre-production, trying things before actually the DOP and the actress came in, because the DOP only had half a day, only came from Paris with the Eurostar for half a day. Everything was ready to shoot. The camera was ready. You can see the little tracking system on it, which allowed them to be handheld and very quick to film. And the actress had the makeup only 30 minutes before the shot, I think. And that's some of the snippets of the movie. Again, it's in pre-production, so it's not color graded or anything, but that's the kind of result you can achieve. And again, bear in mind that we capture that very quickly. So yeah, I think you tell me what you think about it, but I think it's a great example. We pushed it a bit further because we want to, as I said, at Mo-Sys, push more workflows and make things even better and better and better. So that's kind of the next step. We decided to use it in a fake commercial to see how efficient we could be. And I'm sure a lot of you here also work on commercials as well. The commercial I'm going to show you has been shot in half a day. So that's the first location, which is a kitchen. And we will see later on the process behind that. And then we switch to another location, another interior. And again, it's all done with Gaussian splatting. Again, this technology I showed you. And that's all in Unreal. The third location, which is like an office space in an office. But you have some really nice lighting again and really nice reflection from the lights that sync to the 3D world of the Gaussian. And the last location, which is, I think there's one more actually, one more location. That's all these locations you see are from the real world, but you will see that they are not captured in the real world, of course. It would be too easy. And this one actually is not captured from the real world. It's a virtual environment from the Unreal Marketplace. But again, it shows that we can combine different methods because these shots might not be possible to capture. So interesting to combine both. I'm going to show you the behind the scene very quickly. So now you see how we did it. And then I will close on one last technology very briefly. I might have to skip through it a bit because I think we only have 5 minutes left. But what I'd like to show you basically is my colleague capturing the scene. So here it is. Here is how he captured this scene, how he captured it, again with a phone and a gimbal. And then we put it in Unreal, and then we can film whichever camera you want, whichever lens, and you can be as cinematic as you want. But when you capture the environment, a phone is enough. Then you can apply creativity with the lens, the camera in studio. And finally, very quickly, we have only 3 minutes left. We have ways to do motion capture, and I'm happy to talk about it later on, with no suits anymore. And that's something we can also do here. We just need to rig 12 cameras, and we're able to do motion capture with no suits. So that's a big difference, especially for interactivity. interactivity with AR elements. I think this video is 2 minutes, so I'm going to skip through it, but happy to chat about it later on and to tell you a bit more. But typically, yeah, you can control this kind of 3D avatars in real time with no suits, and that makes a big difference because, like for TV presenter and other. There you go. And then one last thing, it's also enable us to interact with 3D elements. Right now, thanks to this mocap system, my colleague is in real time kicking these virtual balls. But it doesn't have to be balls. It can be particles like snow, like rain, or dust, or whatever. And now we can interact with it in real time. So it means we can produce efficiently with hybrid workflow, capture scenes from the real world, and now interact with them in real time. So I'm looking forward to hear about your projects and see how we can work together and with Sugar Studios as well. And please come and reach out. Thank you.